Hi, welcome back to Way of the Wrench. It is Christmas today, and I've been kind of naughty. I pre-opened all my presents here. I will try in the future to leave the packages all closed up, and I'll open them up with you guys. But I just can't help it. I get the stuff, I got to look at it. So today we're going to get a look at all of the parts that I've started ordering for the cabinet, a good description of what's going on with it and where it's going to go, etc. Okay, cool, let's get started. First up is our joysticks and buttons. So there's a couple separate different options. You can go with Sanwa, which is the Japanese kind of branding for them, or you can go with the Hap style, which is the American style that has the baseball bat kind of shape to it. So I went with Sanwa. I kind of did my research, and I do typically kind of prefer the games with the Sanwa. But I mean, both work. It's just personal preference in my point. But yeah, I went with the Sanwa. I found a nice kit. I'll let you know all the pricing later for all of these things at the end of the build. But for now, it was reasonably priced for a 2-player set. Now, going forward, I probably should have done the red RGB button set. But instead, I went with a red and blue, just kind of classic color set for now. Maybe I'll change it later. Maybe I won't. So, a little 10-button kit. So there's 2 little mini buttons. Those are going to be my 1-player and coin insert buttons, or select start for my programming. And then I've got my 8 buttons. Okay, and then there's the knob. You can see there's the little micro switches. 4 connectors, 2 for the actual push button switch, and then the other 2 will be for the lighting. And there we go, to give you an idea about the Sanwa. This would be Sanwa style joystick. Like that. And spin back on. So there's the joystick control. And this one is an 8-way, but you can actually buy a 4-way plate so that it only goes up, down, left, right for classic games. So I can do that later if I want, but for now it's the 8-way. And then this will plug in with a connector to a USB interface board, which will be in here somewhere. So there's the cable, and there is the board itself. So after you've done all the wiring to this board, all the different connections go in there, and then this goes to the USB. What else we got in here? Got all the different little wiring. That should be a little bit of a fun thing to do later. There's the other player interface. There's the instructions. Alright, next up is the Raspberry Pi. Now this is an old version. I think it's a Raspberry Pi 2. It works, but not really all that well. I had to overclock it, and really only Nintendo games work on it really well. So I'm going to upgrade this to a Raspberry Pi 3B. I know there's a 4 available, but the programming and everything seems to work better with a 3B. So that's something I'm going to be buying very, very soon. And with probably a kit that comes with a better power supply. I just use this off of a old phone that I had, and it's not really powerful enough, so it's not stable. So, soon to be replaced with the Raspberry Pi 3B. Ooh, Trackball. Look at this bad boy. Alright, so there's our little Trackball ready to play any of those golfing games, or hopefully some of the side-scrolling games. Anything that needs a mouse. Now I did splurge a little bit. This one is RGB, so we can program it and change colors and patterns on it, so that'll be pretty sick. I did look around. There was different brands and different stuff. Personal preference, I went with this one because it was a 3-inch trackball, which was found in the arcades more than just a little 2-inch, and the ability to change the color, so I kind of ended up going with this one. Now, to make mounting a little bit easier, I did some research, and they did recommend getting a mount for it. I think I could have mounted it the way it is. You just have some little bit more complicated routing to do, but definitely for the money, this mount makes it dead simple. All right, you can leave this kind of like a powder coated surface on the top, or you could even just route this and have this underneath the decals. It does even come with a spacer so that you can literally make this a complete flush mount. So, trackball. Next up, I did pick up some inserts that we're going to need to install our joysticks. I'm going to see about actually putting in these knife thread inserts into the MDF. That way I can actually have no bolts going through the surface. Looks a little cleaner build, and for a couple bucks it does the job. So we've got knife inserts, some lock washers so they don't loosen up on us, and some nice cap's head screws. Next up, black bags of mystery. These are really weird named products. That's what they are. They're hard to find. It's a USB through mount socket or a flush mount socket extension. So in this case, it's got the extension cord for the USB as well as the audio. And this is going to go into the Raspberry Pi. And these will be on the other end, the left and the right. And later on, whenever I want to put a light gun or player 3-4, a USB controller, that'll plug in there and make a nice clean install. So 2 of these for player 3 and player 4. Next up, some European cabinet hinges. I just picked this up at the local hardware store. These make a nicer looking install. They're infinitely adjustable, so if you don't like the way the control panel's sitting, etc., you can tweak it. Pretty easy install. I'm not sure if 2 is going to be enough, but I think they will be. I mean, there's not a lot of force on the hinge, and we're only opening and closing it to do maybe possible maintenance work in the future. If this ends up not being strong enough, we'll just switch up to a piano hinge. Screws. We need some screws, put the wood together. We're going to be doing I forget what they call it, but basically some backup wood strips that we will lay out in the thickness of the MDF so that we have something to glue and screw into to make these cabinets a little bit stronger. Okay, next up is an Xbox 360 power supply. I can't believe how big these things are. Like, if I open this up, I'd think, what is going on with this thing? But apparently this is literally legit. Xbox 360, where is it? Right here, for use with Xbox 360 console. I've never had one. I'm a PlayStation guy personally, but yeah. So a good friend of mine at the school brought me these. Thanks, Sean. We are going to hack these into being power supplies for 12 volt for our arcade. So instead of powering up an Xbox 360, we're going to use them for powering up lighting, amplifiers, anything we need that's 12 volt. So online, there is a video on basically trimming off this plug, stripping back the wires, and doing some solder work, which we have kind of already started here. Right here. So we got a couple color different wires in here. You put the yellows together, that's your positive, 12 volt. Put your blacks together, those are your negative. And then the red and blue is a signal. So basically, if you want to be able to switch this power supply on and off, you can put a switch in line with this, or solder them together, and as soon as you plug this thing into the wall, you're going to have 12 volts power coming out. I will show you more when we go to use these later. Alright, next up is this beauty of a car audio amplifier. Not sure if this is going to work for us, but literally I found it in the shop. It's free. It probably will do everything we need to, and maybe more. So we'll let you know if this works down the road and show you that build. But I'm still not even sure if I'm going to need this. Once we get the TV going, if it's loud enough, we may not even need this, but we'll see. I do want a system that's nice and loud and play games so you can at deafening rates of volume. Next, the most important piece of this arcade is our 32-inch widescreen TV. So once again, thank you, Graham, for this. I was going to originally make a animated digital D&D map kind of table out of this, and I still might make that project later, but it's been sitting around long enough. I think I'm going to use it in the arcade. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are, why aren't you doing a traditional CRT screen? I'm not going for a purist look. I've been playing games on the Raspberry Pi at home for a couple months now. They look really good. I'm not going to be trying to make them look worse so they look original. When I plug it in, personally, when I put the smoothing shaders on, everything looks better to me. And when it's on a big screen and it looks great still, I think that's the way to go. Besides that, I'd have to spend $400 or $500 for a nice CRT. And then if I'm going original, it would have to be something pretty tiny, like a 17-inch. So this one here's 32. So I think that'll work. The only thing I got to worry about is this width. The 32 inch is the diagonal, but it's also the exact width of this plastic case. So going forward, we may have to pop it out of the case and mount it without it. We'll have to see. I also wouldn't mind having volume control and things like that. I do have the remote control, but if I don't need that, it would be nice to basically take the side mount here. We could take that off if we're taking it out of the case and mount it on the side of the cabinet so we can control and even have access for other inputs, etc. All right, and then lastly, we have a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of 5/8 MDF. Now, I did a little research. 5/8 and 3/4 inch MDF is a standard size for control panels. I didn't want to do the extra routering for buttons, and it doesn't need to be that thick, so I decided to go with 5/8. I know some places have problems finding 5/8 MDF, but I have it. So I'm going to use the control panel 5/8. Still not sure about whether I'm going to use the control panel, or sorry, the 5/8 for the rest of the arcade, but we'll tackle that. I know I'm going to need more than this to do the other sides of the actual cabinet itself. And then I got one cheap piece of spruce 2x4, 8 feet long. I'm going to straighten it all up and turn it into glue blocks. I think they're called battens, so that when we are putting this cabinet together, any corners you can screw into them and glue them in so that you've got some strength to back up. All right, it's been about a week later. I got some more parts to open up and share with you guys, so let's tear into it and see what we got in this thing. Let's look. All right, what do we got here? Lots of stuff to get thrown out here. All right, first up is we've got our slitting cutter, our 1/16 thick slitting cutter with a 1/2 inch shank, so that we can put this into either our hand router or our machine router so that we can do the cut, so we can install our T-molding. So we got that part. Cutter, I should say. All right, next up we have our 120 AC electrical socket plug. Looks like it comes in a whole bunch of pieces here. So this will get put into the back of the control panel, and it will also get put, there's 2 of them in here, a 2-pack, so I'm going to put one in the control panel and one behind the arcade cabinet. And then so I still have to order the cord that will get plugged in there to go into the wall. And then one of these is a fuse holder. Fuse holder's in there. Here's the fuse, and this is just a little cover, slips in like this, and then this is our actual on-off switch that we can trigger and wire up once we get this all set up. All right, last thing in the box here. I actually can't remember what this is. So fun. Ah, yes, our weirdly named products. This one, though, is a pass-through socket extension, except for our HDMI, and it does have an actual audio jack as well, which we probably won't be using much of. So this is going to go in the back of the control panel so that I can take the control panel, lift it up and away from the machine, disconnect the HDMI that goes to the TV in the cabinet, and then this is where you'd plug in your 10-foot, 15-foot HDMI cable into the back of the control panel when you take it to someone's house and play. So there's that by there, and there's a bunch of mounting stuff that most of it we won't need. All right, I took some time and scrounged around the shop. I ended up finding 2 of these plugins. So this one goes into the wall, and then this guy is going to go into our sockets. So I actually ended up finding one short one. and one nice and long one. So that's going to be great. So this one will be the one for the control panel. This will go into the back like that on the control panel, and then this will go into the power supply inside the arcade cabinet, and then this long one will be the one to the back of the cabinet, which we will eventually plug into the wall. So cool, free, $0. All right, these are going to be the player 3 and player 4 option. They're Super NES controllers with a USB input jack, so these will go into the pass-through sockets on the left and right of the control panels and give us our player 3, player 4 options. I have been playing with these for a couple months now. They actually work pretty solid, so these will work very good, and they can get tucked away neatly underneath the cabinet control panel when we're not being used, so it has a nice still 2-player look to it. Or you can take them right off and put them inside the control panel for another time. So got 2 of these. They are brand new, just threw the packaging out a couple months ago while I was playtesting. All right, and lastly here we have the, I believe it's called a Cana kit. I will post the description down below in the description. But this is the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. I spent a little bit more money, and the kit basically comes with a nice enclosure for you. It comes with 2 heat sinks and the paste required to put that down so that you can overclock these a little bit and they run a little cooler. So a nice little cover in here. And then it also comes with a nice on-off switch so you can kill the power to it, and a 2.5 amp power supply. So make sure that you have enough power to your Raspberry Pi so everything runs properly. And one of the other things that I just purchased is a 64 gigabyte USB stick. I did have a 32 in there, but I found that once I put some ROMs on there, it got too full, and then your game saves start to not work properly. So make sure you have a whole bunch of extra room on these USB sticks once your ROMs are on there, so that you do not have any problems with it maxing out the capacity and then actually freezing up your games. I had to find that out the wrong way. So hopefully I can help you with that. What else we could talk about? The other recommendation is to put your ROMs onto a USB stick and put your operating system on a separate USB flash card. So that way that this doesn't get corrupted when you have issues with your ROMs. All right, that's the end of the video. We still have some things to order. I have to get some more MDF where we're finishing off the cabinet. I have to get some paint, and I have to get some T-molding, probably some miscellaneous other things. But at this point, I would really like your guys' help with something. So if you could comment down below, tell me what kind of color scheme this should be, what kind of theme, any old video games that you like playing in the arcade, and that info will be going towards what we're going to design for our build here. Kind of leaning towards like a black paint with like chrome T-molding. I think that would look pretty trick. And like I said, get some vinyl decals of Stranger Things or something like that, just to make this thing really pop. So next video up is going to be designing out our control panel so that we have something that looks awesome and feels good to play on, figure out where all our buttons go, and making sure that it looks good and it functions good. So a little bit of form and function. All right. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe and click the post notification bell so that you are up to date with any of our builds and videos that we're putting out. All right, thanks. Take it easy.